Are you looking at your seedlings and wondering why they look so sad? You know, weak, spindly, and maybe even a little yellow? You're giving them light, you're giving them love, and you're using good soil. But something is still wrong. What if I told you the biggest enemy to your strong, healthy seedlings might be the very thing you think is helping them? Your water. That's right. The clear, clean water from your tap could be silently sabotaging your efforts. In this video, I'm going to show you the one simple solution I use to turn regular tap water into a super drink for my seedlings. This is how I get those thick, green, disease-resistant plants every single year. Stay tuned, because this simple trick is about to change your seedling game forever. Before we mix up our magic solution, let's quickly talk about why your tap water can be a silent seedling killer. Most of us just turn on the faucet and water our plants, right? It seems so harmless. But municipal tap water is treated to be safe for humans to drink, not for our delicate baby plants to thrive in. It often contains disinfectants like chlorine and chloramine. These chemicals are fantastic at killing harmful bacteria in the water pipes, but they can't tell the difference between bad bacteria and the beneficial microbes living in your potting soil. These microbes are your plant's allies, helping them absorb nutrients and fight off diseases. Furthermore, depending on where you live, your water could be very hard, meaning it's full of minerals, or it could have a pH that's too high or alkaline. Seedlings need a slightly acidic environment to absorb nutrients efficiently. When the water's chemistry is off, it's like they're sitting at a huge feast, but their mouths are taped shut. The food is there, but they just can't eat it. So let's tackle the first culprit, chlorine. This is the most common disinfectant used in city water systems around the world. Its job is to kill microorganisms, and it does that job very well. Unfortunately, that includes the beneficial bacteria and fungi in your soil that form a symbiotic relationship with your seedlings' roots. Without this bustling underground community, your seedlings are more vulnerable to diseases and have a harder time accessing nutrients. The good news is that dealing with basic chlorine is incredibly easy. Chlorine is what we call volatile, which means it readily evaporates into the air. The simplest, completely free fix is to just fill your watering can and let it sit out, uncovered, for at least 24 hours before you use it. This allows most of the chlorine to gas off and leave the water. This is a fundamental first step to improving your water quality. But be warned, this simple trick only works for chlorine. If your water supplier uses its tougher, more stubborn cousin, you'll need to take another step. That brings us to the second, more stubborn villain, chloramine. More and more municipalities are switching to chloramine because it's much more stable than chlorine and doesn't dissipate as easily. It's essentially chlorine bonded with ammonia. While this is great for keeping water safe all the way to your tap, it's bad news for gardeners because it's so stable, letting your water sit out for a day or even a week will do almost nothing to remove it. Chloramine can build up in your potting mix over time, continuously suppressing the microbial life your seedlings depend on. It can lead to weaker plants that seem to struggle for no apparent reason. So how do we neutralize this persistent chemical? We can't just let it evaporate. We need a more active approach to break it down and render it harmless. This is where the first active ingredient of our special solution comes into play, an ingredient that not only helps with chloramine, but also solves another major water problem. Let's talk about that other problem, pH. This might sound like a complicated chemistry lesson, but it's actually very simple. Think of pH as a scale from 0 to 14 that measures how acidic or alkaline something is. 7 is neutral. Anything below 7 is acidic, and anything above is alkaline. Your seedlings are picky eaters. They can only absorb the full range of nutrients from the soil when the pH is in a specific, slightly acidic range, ideally between 6.0 and 6.5. The problem is, most tap water is intentionally made slightly alkaline, usually well above a pH of 7, to prevent it from corroding the city's pipes. When you constantly water your seedlings with alkaline water, you raise the pH of your soil. This causes something called nutrient lockout. It's that feast with a taped mouth scenario I mentioned. The iron, manganese, and other vital nutrients are right there in the soil, but the high pH makes them chemically unavailable to the plant's roots. This is often why seedlings look pale or yellow, even in high-quality soil. So, how do we correct the pH and unlock that nutrient pantry for our seedlings? The answer is probably already in your kitchen. It's simple, humble vinegar. You can use either plain white distilled vinegar or raw apple cider vinegar. Both work wonderfully. Vinegar is a gentle acid that, when heavily diluted in water, will safely lower the pH to that sweet spot that seedlings love. The key here is dilution. More is not better. A great starting point is about 1 tablespoon of vinegar per 1 gallon of water. This small amount is usually enough to bring alkaline tap water down into the ideal range. If you want to be precise, you can get cheap pH test strips to check your water before and after. But this ratio is a safe and effective general rule. By simply adjusting the pH, you are making all the existing nutrients in your soil readily available, which gives you an immediate boost in plant health without adding any fertilizer at all. It's like turning on the lights at the feast. Now that we've fixed the pH, it's time to add the secret weapon, the ingredient that turns this from simply corrected water into a true super drink for your plants. I'm talking about unsulfured blackstrap molasses. And yes, the type matters. It has to be unsulfured, because sulfur can harm beneficial microbes. Blackstrap molasses is the dark, viscous liquid left over after the maximum amount of sugar has been extracted from sugarcane. While it's low in simple sugars, it is incredibly rich in vital minerals, like calcium, magnesium, iron, and potassium. But its real magic lies in what it does for the soil. The remaining complex carbohydrates in the molasses are the perfect food source for the beneficial bacteria and fungi in your potting mix. When you add molasses to your water, you are feeding this invisible army. A thriving microbial population helps break down organic matter, making nutrients even more available to the plant, and it also outcompetes and protects against pathogenic fungi that cause diseases like damping off, which is a major killer of young seedlings. All right, let's put it all together and create our magic seedling solution. It's incredibly simple. First, start with 1 gallon of water. If you know your water is treated with chlorine, make sure you've let it sit out for at least 24 hours. If you're not sure, it's always a good practice to do so. To this 1 gallon of water, you are going to add your 2 active ingredients. First, add 1 tablespoon of vinegar, again, white or apple cider. Vinegar is fine. Second, add 1 tablespoon of unsulfured blackstrap molasses. Now for a crucial tip, molasses is very thick and can be difficult to dissolve in cold water. So I highly recommend mixing the molasses into a cup of warm water first. Stir it until it's completely dissolved into a uniform brown liquid, and then pour that mixture into your 1 gallon watering can. Give the whole gallon a final, thorough stir. Your finished solution should look like weak tea. That's it. You've just created a perfectly pH-balanced, microbially stimulating, and nutrient-boosting drink for your seedlings. Now, how and when should you use this powerful solution? Remember, this is a boost, not a replacement for plain water. You don't need to use it every single time you water your plants. Think of it as a weekly vitamin supplement. I find that using the solution about once every 7 to 10 days is perfect. On other days, just use your plain, dechlorinated water. The most important rule of watering seedlings always applies, regardless of what's in the water. Do not overwater. Always check the soil first. Stick your finger in about an inch deep. If it feels dry, it's time to water. If it feels damp, wait another day. When you do water with the solution, try to water the soil directly and avoid splashing the leaves too much. An even better method is bottom watering. Pour the solution into the tray your seedling pots are sitting in and let them soak it up from the bottom for about 15 to 20 minutes. This encourages deep root growth and ensures the entire root ball gets evenly hydrated without disturbing the delicate stem. So, what kind of results can you expect to see after you start using this solution? The changes are often noticeable within just a week or two. The first thing you'll likely see is that the stems of your seedlings become visibly thicker and sturdier. They'll stand up straighter and look much more robust. The leaves will develop a deeper, richer shade of green, which is a clear sign that they are efficiently absorbing nutrients, especially iron and nitrogen. Because you are fostering a healthy soil ecosystem, your seedlings will be far more resilient. They'll be better able to withstand minor stresses, like temperature fluctuations, and you'll see a dramatic reduction in common problems, like damping off. You're essentially giving them a boosted immune system. When it comes time to transplant them into the garden, you'll find they have a much more developed and healthy root system. You're not just growing bigger plants, you're growing fundamentally stronger and healthier plants from the ground up. So there you have it. The secret isn't some expensive, fancy fertilizer. The secret is to stop looking at water as just water and to start thinking about what's actually in it. By simply neutralizing the chlorine, correcting the pH with a little vinegar, and feeding the soil's microbiome with a bit of molasses, you completely transform the very foundation of your seedling's health. You're not just force-feeding the plant, you're creating a perfect environment where the plant and its soil allies can work together to thrive. This simple, cheap, and organic approach will give you the thickest, strongest, and most disease-resistant seedlings you've ever grown. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this tip helpful, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more garden-changing secrets. And now, I want to hear from you. What is your single biggest struggle when it comes to starting seeds? Let me know in the comments below. Happy growing!